Hi everyone. Sorry it's taking this long to do this video. So I'm going to walk you through how you can set up the Copilot Metrics dashboard, the Power BI app, how you might troubleshoot if you're getting a few errors, and what you can do to customize, particularly if you want to view team level metrics or add some extra charts and things like that. So let's get right into it. So the GitHub Copilot Metrics Power BI app allows GitHub Copilot subscription customers subscription on business and Copilot Enterprise. As long as you've got a GitHub Enterprise, uh, this GitHub Copilot Metrics dashboard connects using API to your underlying Copilot data to help you to visualize and measure your Copilot usage as well as your seat activation across the timeline. This dashboard supports incremental refresh, which means that beyond the 30 days or 28 days that the API returns to you, the Power BI dashboard during its refresh keeps the partition of the previous data uh, and appends that to additional refreshes it carries out on those days. So you can install it directly by visiting the AppSource and search for GitHub Copilot Metrics. Or if you want, you can also go directly into Power BI and click on Get Apps, and you can search for GitHub Copilot metrics from the list. So the AppSource is more or less a marketplace where you can install extensions and visualizations and apps into your Power BI online service. So you need to have a Power BI online service to install this app directly. If you've got just the Power BI desktop, which is the client, I will share the location of the repo of the original source of the dashboard. You can clone this and customize as the case may be. We'll also go into the customization later on in this video. So you click on Get It Now, and this will take you directly to your Power BI online space. If you're installing for the first time and there is no existing app pre-installed, you'll get this message and you can click on the install, and it's going to try to install that and take you straight away to you can install that, and once it's installed you'll see the message that the app is ready, and you can click on go to the app. GitHub Copilot Metrics dashboard installed. You will find the app in this drop down if it is backwards compatible, and you can select an older version and upgrade or update that app directly, or if you want you can also install a fresh copy of the app. That is if you already have a version of this app pre-installed. You should be able to update existing app with a newer version. Mostly it's backward compatible, and it's not going to overwrite or replace your refresh data. Once you select this option, it will just update the app's version, but the refresh data will still remain. This way you're able to benefit from any changes we've made to the dashboard app whilst still keeping your refresh history. So you then click on install. Once this is installed, you can directly open the app. This app has no data currently. It's just got the skeleton of the dashboard. To connect it to your data, you'll need to click on connect your data. And to be able to install this Power BI dashboard successfully, there are some important things. Let's go into that first. In the setup instructions, you would find a link to the setup instructions as well on the home page of the app on the app source. If you go directly to the app, you would see the link to the gist there. If you prefer a different language, you can switch to that. There are three important parameters that you need for the dashboard. There is the enterprise, the organization list, and the GitHub API. Now, this one is required, so it's not going to prompt you. So if you looked at the previous tab, you would see that it's only asking you for the organization list and the enterprise. That's because we've already pre-filled the GitHub API for you, so you don't have to do that again. This is the endpoint for the GitHub API, which needs to be permanent, so that has been pre-specified already. In addition to parameters, you also need to authenticate to your GitHub Enterprise through the API. So you would need your username, which should be your normal GitHub handle, but this time around, it's not going to be your password, it's going to be your personal access token. So you generate a classic personal access token, and then you set the level to public, the privacy level. Now, setting the privacy level to public does not mean your dashboard will be visible to members of the public. It just means that the partition of the data is not requiring any kind of privacy when you need to combine it with another partition of data in the dashboard. For those of you that are used to Power BI, you have an idea of what this data partitioning means. In terms of authorization, what permissions do you need to give to that token? These are the three most important permissions. First, you need to manage billing Copilot for the classic part. You can use fine-grained part as well, as long as you've given it the requisite permissions to consume the API, and we'll see the documentation shortly. So you need read enterprise, manage billing enterprise, and then you need to set the read for each organization that you need that token to access. If this is, once you've set read org for classic token, it means you would then have to authorize the token in those organizations for the token to work with them. And I'll show that to you shortly. So which endpoints does the dashboard need to interact with? These are the 5 endpoints. This link will take you to the documentation. So if I open this in another tab, for example, get Copilot metrics for an enterprise. So this is the endpoint. You can also test this endpoint directly with your curl in the CLI or with any API tool of choice, maybe Postman or Insomnia or any other tool that you have. This is the enterprise slug. So when you go onto GitHub, the enterprise slug is the one that houses the organization. So that's the parent of the organization, and I'll show you that shortly as well. So before you set up the dashboard, be sure that you can consume these 5 APIs using the instructions for the endpoint. So as long as you've done this for the classic token that you generated, or you can use a fine-grained token as well and set up the right permissions for each of those endpoints. If I open this other one in a new tab, you would see what level of fine-grained access token you need. For example, it's telling you this, right? Or the classic part, which is the read enterprise. So let's go into how you can set up your tokens on GitHub. I am on GitHub now, and typically when you visit a GitHub repo, you would see the repo name, you'd see the organization name, and the enterprise name. So the enterprise name is the enterprise slug, which you would find within the address bar in the URL as well. So you don't need to copy the whole URL, you only need the text. That is your enterprise slug. And in an enterprise, you can have many organizations. And in an organization, you can have many repos. So let's generate a new personal access token, shall we? So go to your avatar, settings, developer settings. On the personal access token, I am going to create a classic token. This is the list. I can create a new one here. And this is using my 2FA. So creating a new dashboard. Set your expiration date. So this depends on your preference. Bear in mind that when the token expires, the dashboard refresh may fail, and when it fails, you have to come and regenerate the token. I'll show you how you can update that in the setting as well. So we want to read the org. We want the enterprise as well. We want to manage billing enterprise and read enterprise. So this will be checked by default. And Copilot, we want to manage billing as well. So I'm going to generate this now by clicking on generate token. Once you've generated your token, be sure to authorize the token to access the enterprises that you need. So for example, I want to grant it access to this organization. So make sure that the token is authorized to access the organizations that you need. If that is not set, the dashboard will not be able to retrieve Copilot data for that organization. That is for those organizations that you've specified. So let us now use this token and the organization in the setup of the dashboard. I am back to the setup page where we want to set up the dashboard. If you want the Copilot dashboard to connect to all organizations within your enterprise, leave this as a string of null, exactly as it is written. And for your enterprise, you specify your enterprise slug here. If you want automatic refresh every day, you can leave this on. This can be configured under the settings as well later on, and I'll show that to you. If there is a specific organization, or if you have a list of organizations, then you can specify them in this list, separating them by a comma. Otherwise, you write null if you just want the entire enterprise, all the organizations in the entire enterprise. All right. Next will be the authentication. So authentication method should be basic according to the instructions. You put in your username here, and then you then paste the token that you've generated. Ensure the privacy level is set as public here, and then click on sign in and connect. So this will take some time. Give it a few minutes depending on the size of your enterprise and how many organizations you've got in there. Bear in mind that this dashboard is also contributing to the number of API calls you're making. We've designed this dashboard to minimize the number of calls as much as possible to the minimum that is required for the dashboard to work, but you can configure this later on in your settings.